Sir Ernest Shackleton's Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition was meant to be the first land crossing of the Antarctic continent. Yeah, we wouldn't be doing an episode about it if it worked out well. We're going back to 1911, more specifically December 14th, when an expedition led by Roald Amundsen became the first people to reach the South Pole. News of this event reached Ernest Shackleton on March 11th, 1912, who had already gone on 2 expeditions to Antarctica, but hadn't reached the South Pole yet. So he began to plan a way to cross the continent on foot. Now you may be wondering why he would want to do such a thing. Well, this was during the heroic age of Arctic exploration. Yeah, that's a technical term for it. And he wanted to do it because nobody else had. He was an explorer, so he did what explorers did. He explored. His plan was to take the ship Endurance, land a team of 14 at Vosel Bay, 6 of which would accompany him the 1,800 miles across the continent. Another ship, the Aurora, would sail from Australia on the other side, setting up supplies for them and eventually meet up with them and help them reach the other side. These 2 parties were known as the Weddell Sea Party and the Ross Sea Party, named after the seas that they'd be sailing through in their approach to the continent. Shackleton and 27 others set sail from Buenos Aires on October 26, 1914, and made it to South Georgia Island on November 5th, staying at a whaling station there for about a month, heading out on December 5th for Antarctica. Unfortunately, they ran into ice within 2 days, taking until the 22nd for it to thin out enough for them to sail more easily south into the Weddell Sea. But this is where things get rough. By late January, early February, the ship had not only become stuck in the ice, but had floated 14 miles north. Shackleton ordered men to attempt to cut the ship free, but to no avail. By February 21st, Shackleton realized that the ship would be frozen in place, at least until spring, and keep in mind this is the southern hemisphere, so that's September. So he had the ship remodeled as a base camp and had the dogs housed in sheds dug out of the ice known affectionately as dogloos. And for the next several months they just kind of hunkered down and waited for the temperatures to rise and the ice to break up as they drifted along with the ice pack. Fast forward to October 24th, where the pressure on the hull from the ice all around became too much and part of her began to let in water. And though they tried to pump it out, even as it also began freezing inside the ship, on the 27th, Shackleton ordered that the ship be abandoned. Luckily, it took until November 21st for the ship to fully sink, so they had plenty of time to get what they could off of it. Shackleton then decided that it was best to make a journey across the ice to either Paulette Island, 346 miles away, or Snow Hill Island, about 312 miles away. His crew wanted to wait and camp in place as the ice floe drifted them closer to land, but Shackleton wasn't hearing it. So on October 30th, 1915, they set out, carrying 2 of the lifeboats with them, but on November 1st, they'd only made it 2 miles, so it was decided to stop and figure out another idea. On December 23rd, another march was attempted, but they only made it about 7 miles in 7 days, so they set up another camp, this one known as Patience Camp. And they remained there until the ice floe cracked open on April 8th, making it clear that they could no longer stay in that location. So the next day, they loaded up into the 3 lifeboats. They'd gone back to get the 3rd one and headed out on board them. They would eventually make their way to Elephant Island, 346 miles from where the Endurance sank, by mid-April, and for the first time at 497 days, the men stood on solid ground. But solid ground or not, Elephant Island was still isolated and uninhabited, so another sea journey was going to be necessary, and this one would be 800 miles across open ocean to South Georgia. One of the lifeboats was modified to make her more seaworthy, and on April 24th, 1916, she set out with 6 men on board, including Shackleton. On May 10th, they finally landed on South Georgia, but the populated part was on the north side and they had landed on the south side. So it was decided that they would make the overland route, which had never been done before. So after setting up what was declared Peggotty Camp, it was decided that Shackleton and 2 others would make the journey and would return for the others. And in the morning of May 18th, they set out for Stromness, 26 miles away on the other side of the Allardyce mountain range. And finally, on May 20th, 1916, the 3 men and made it to Stromness, the same place they had set out from in December 1914. The next day, the other 3 men were rescued from their camp, and Shackleton began efforts to rescue those that were still on Elephant Island. He tried and failed to do so 3 times with the ice being too thick, but finally the Chilean government allowed Shackleton the use of a tugboat called the Yelcho, and the ice pack subsided enough for them to be able to reach the men, who, hungry and physically failing but all alive, were finally rescued on August 30th. Oh, and the Aurora? Yeah, she got stuck in ice too and ended up drifting nearly 1,600 miles before being able to get free and sail back to New Zealand, leaving a party trapped on the continent. These men, besides the 3 that died, would be rescued by Shackleton on January 10th, 1917. So yeah, after being trapped in Antarctic conditions for several years, only 3 men died. I gotta say, that's pretty good.